This week in the field, taking a look at filter systems for landscape photography. Hi everyone, I'm Scott Davenport and welcome to In the Field. If this is the first time you're checking out the show, thanks very much. Real briefly, what this is about is I'll share some experience I've had with a location shoot for landscapes. It might be field footage, composition notes, or in today's episode, it's going to be about some gear, but it's slanted toward the field side of landscape photography, those things that we need to do on location. And one of the things that fuels the engine of this show are your questions and your thoughts, so please share them with me, and then we all become better photographers together. I'm going to have to think about my photography as I try to answer your questions, and hopefully my answers are giving you something back as well, and we all get better together. That's the whole point. So today, let's dive in. We're going to talk about filter systems. So you're into landscape photography, you should have an idea of what filters are all about, neutral density, polarizers, and why they're useful. And you may be considering or own a filter system. Now, there's a variety of them. The big names that come up to mind here is Lee, Cokin, and Format Hitech. They all operate roughly the same, and they're all good. Right? They're all good quality things. So whatever you choose to get, it's going to work pretty well. The basics of it is you've got a modular system where you can slide in and out these pieces of glass to quickly change between filters. So generally what you have is you have a filter ring, which is your adapter for your particular lens size. You've got a holder that's going to hold your individual pieces of glass. And then you've got the filters themselves. This one here happens to be a 4-stop neutral density filter. And there's a variety of different filters you can get. UVs, 10 stops, many different grades, neutral density, graduated neutral density filters, a whole bunch of different things. I thought quickly I'd go through how do you connect this to your lenses? How does this all work? If you've never used one before, you see all these different pieces and you may wonder what's going on. Let's take a step through that. So I'm holding a Sony 24-70 lens, and the way this all works is you've got your adapter ring, and that's going to go on the front of your lens. So you get different adapter rings for the different thread sizes of your lenses. I'm going to take this and just connect it onto the front of my lens. I'm just screwing this into the threads. Okay, like that. And so now you've got this ring and it's fitted to match up with your holder. So now the holder just goes on the outside of it. And I'm going to open up this screw a little bit on the side here, right there. Tighten that up. And so now I have this holder. It's secure. It's on the lens. It's not going to move anywhere. And here I have, in this case, this holder has 3 different slots to take pieces of glass. And so I could take my 4-stop neutral density and I'll just slide that in like that. You can see this is a pretty dark piece of glass that's going to, in this case, slow down the light, slow down the shutter speed. You're going to get those nice, smooth flowing water if you're shooting at the ocean, kind of like I do all the time. So that's the basics of putting together the filter system. And one of the things I like about having a filter system is when you start to use the heavier neutral density filters, you're going to often run into the case where the camera can't meter the scene through the dark glass. So if you're using a circular neutral density, you screw it on and, you realize I didn't want the 4-stop, I wanted a 6-stop. You've got to take the thing off, remeter the scene, put one back on. Whereas with the glass, you can just quickly slide it out, go ahead and do your metering, lock that in, do your calculations. There's plenty of apps for those to determine longer exposures, and then slide your glass back in. You can also stack up filters. They make polarizers, I mentioned already. I have a 10-stop as well. I could put the 10-stop and the 4-stop together. You get 14 stops of light, which is insanely huge. So I can do 10, 20, 30-minute exposures depending on the ambient light. So that's the basics of how it works, and a couple of the reasons that I like having a filter system. But another advantage of having a filter system, at least for me, is I can get these different rings for my different lens sizes, and these are pretty expensive. They're maybe $20, and that's it. So I can put this on my other lenses and very quickly move my holder from one lens to another, and not have to get either step-down rings or buy multiple sized threads for different filters and so forth. That same piece of glass that I have, I can use across my entire lens line. Now, there are some downsides to filter systems, and at least the ones that really resonate with me the most. First is I'd love to be able to store my lens in my bag with the ring adapted. Now, I'm using a Format Hitech system here, and why did I choose that one? Mainly because the photographers, several photographers that I admire, use them. They get good results. I took a look. The prices were comparable between others, all things being equal. I'll choose ones from my photo heroes. So Format Hitech has got a variety of stuff on their website. I'm not affiliated with these folks in any way, shape, or form, so I'm just telling you what I use and why I use it. Actually, as I scroll through here, I noticed graduated neutral density filters. I don't use those. I'll do the graduated work in post-processing. But back to one of the things that I'm a little disappointed with is I've got this ring on here. Here's my lens cap. I can't put this back on. I can't protect my lens. This doesn't fit in and stay in any way that I try to get it to work. So I'm stuck. I don't want to leave my front element unprotected in my bag. So the only workaround that I have at the moment, actually currently I'm not even doing that. I'll take the ring off and store it with the cap on. But let me see here. Right over here, I've just got an old lens bag. I could throw this over the top of it. This isn't really made to protect the front element. It's just made to protect the lens. So it's not a great option. I've been looking for something to cover this up. I read an article where the top of Haagen-Dazs ice cream fits certain lenses. So I'm actually need to make a measurement on this and see if that's something that I could use, because I would like to, when I know I'm going out, I'm going to be doing golden hour landscape shoots. I'd love to keep these rings on the camera lenses and not have to fiddle around. That would be less playing for me in the field. One other, downside is you're having to carry a little bit more. I mean, this, my desk is kind of scattered now with a bunch of pieces here. I have to find room for in the bag, and I currently only have the one holder, so I'm needing to move this among my different cameras. The holders themselves aren't all that expensive either. I would say less than $50. So I could, in theory, buy one for every lens that I have. To me, that's a little bit overkill, because ultimately it's just this one screw. It's a half turn. It comes off, and a half turn tightens it back up when you put it on the other lens. If I can solve the problem of keeping my lens adapter rings on in the bag, then I think that problem will go away. After that, it's just a matter of, it's a little cumbersome. I don't think it's any more cumbersome than the circular filters that I've used, because I still have to juggle those in my hands. Or have a type of bag that's going to sit on my waist and give me a place to work. But overall, the biggest downside for me has been how to keep this ring on and my front element protected. One other thought that may come to mind for you is, what about a variable neutral density filter? I screw it on, and then I can just rotate it around. Those work. I have one from Tiffin. Overall, I hadn't been too happy with it. Part of the problem is that it's not precise, in that at least the one that I have, when you rotate it, it's not like you can set it to 3 stops or 6 stops. You just get the range, somewhere from 2 to 8, and you can over rotate it and get some very horrible looking nasty vignetting or banding. But the inability to say this is, let's say, 4 stops of light. If you're trying to meter the scene and put on the variable neutral density, dial in 4 stops, and then recalculate what your exposure should be, you're still having to take a guess, because it's not quite accurate. And yeah, sometimes you can meter through the dark glass. Focusing becomes a problem at that point. And then if you're going beyond 30 seconds, you're stuck. You're not going to be able to do that. A little bit of guesswork involved. So those things is what made me shy away from the variable filters and go with a system. And the tip of the week is a filter system, if you couldn't have guessed that already. Overall, I've been very happy with it. If I can solve my front element protection thing, I'll be even happier. It'll save me a couple of steps when I'm out at location. And that wraps it up for this week in the field. Hope you like this. Let me know if you like this gear type episode. And I don't have a lot of gear. I'm not a big gear guy, but I can start working these in and share with you what I do have, what I use, and why I use it. And if you got questions, please send them my way. Love to hear from you. And until next time, my name is Scott Davenport, and happy shooting.